Yarny friends, I'm Sara Sach and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video is one that I'm super excited about. Brand new pattern release called the Very Merry Blanket. It is a round blanket. It's actually a hexagon, but it comes off as a round blanket. It's just beautiful and easy. We begin with our basic hexagon, and then we add these beautiful shell stitches that gives it some different types of textures. And then once you get going, you just keep going and increasing until it's the size that you want. Now, if you follow the pattern, you're going to get a 44 by 44 inch hexagon. All right. Now, just to remind you, a pentagon is 5-sided, a hexagon is 6-sided, and this one has 6 sides or 6 points. All right, and isn't this yarn just gorgeous? We're going to talk about this yarn in just a second, but just so that you understand, the color of yarn that you choose, of course, is up to you. This is a striping variegated yarn. And we used a velvet yarn for the trim because I wanted it to look like snow. And it does. It's beautiful. All right. And I think you're really going to enjoy making this. The thing about this is the reason I wanted it to be a hexagon or a round style blanket is it could also be just folded in half and wrapped around the bottom of your Christmas tree for a really pretty Christmas tree skirt. All right. I tried to get a good picture so that you could see that at the beginning of this video. So, as always, you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog. And again, as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All right, what do we need to make our Very Merry Christmas blanket? You're going to need approximately 24 ounces, which is around 1,300 yards, okay? Each one of these, and this is what I used, Herrschnerrs worsted stripes yarn, and the color is called Very Merry. It's a longer striping yarn, but not as long as like some of the cake yarns. It's not that long. You get really nice color changes that are nice and long, but not too long. I just really love this yarn for this project. It's a worsted weight, medium weight, number 4. If you go on Herrschnerrs and order this, you'll need to get 4 of them. Okay? And they were having a sale. Now, I don't know if they're still on sale for all their Christmas yarns, but they were on sale when I ordered this. Okay? And I ordered this specifically for this pattern. All right, so you need roughly 24 ounces or 1,300 yards for this project. If you make it bigger, of course, you're going to need more. But I really love this one for it. It has lots of different shades. It's got a darker green and a lighter green. It's got a darker cranberry and then like a regular red. And then it has this beautiful cream in here. And it's almost like a greeny cream. It's not quite what I would say cream. It's more like a really, really, really light green. So, and I just really loved it for this project. I think it gives it a little bit of a vintage look to it. All right, so that's Herrschnerrs worsted stripes yarn, medium weight, number 4, in the color Very Merry. All right, now for the trim, I just wanted a white velvet. And so I ran up to my Hobby Lobby and I picked this up. It's called Velvety Smooth Aran in white. It is a medium weight, number 4. There it is. So tiny. Anyway, I stayed with the medium weight number 4 because I'm using this a medium weight number 4. If you want it a little bit more fluffy, you can always use a bigger, thicker velvet yarn. Just keep in mind you may have to do a space between your stitches if you go with a bigger yarn, okay? Because this is a really basic double crochet with picot trim. I wanted it to look like snow with maybe some little icicles or little snowballs hanging off of it, but not too fussy. I wanted it nice and easy and still cute. All right, and so I use I used 2 ounces or about 100 yards of the white velvet medium weight number 4 yarn. All right, we stitched it up with our eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You need a needle just for weaving in ends and a pair of scissors. This is a great take-along project because once you get going with the rounds, it's just a repeat with increases. And if you've got a trip you're going to take, you want to go visit a friend, you want to bring them a gift, you could work on this in the car or the airplane or even in the RV. Take it with you and you'll be done by the time you get there because it does stitch up really fast. Okay, let's get started. Start with our slip knot. We're going to chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle, so I'll put my tail of yarn over my hook and pull it through. We'll snug that down and tie our stay knot. Now, if you prefer to do the magic circle or another method to make your beginning circle, that's totally okay. You do what works best for you. All right, so I put my hook in, chain 3. This chain 3 counts as 1 double crochet. I'm going to double crochet in the circle and chain 1. So we have one set of 2 double crochet, chain 1, and we need to have a total of 6. So I'm going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And then I'll repeat that 4 more times. So we have a total of 6 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 1. Oops, there we go. Alrighty, let me count, make sure I've got the right amount. So here's our first 2, our chain 3 and our double crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'll chain 1, join to my chain 3, and chain 3. All right, now we're going to turn this over and go ahead and weave this end in. So I gave it a little bit of a tug there. We want to close up that hole. All right, and we're just going to weave this in so it stays secure. We don't want a hole coming open in the middle of our blanket. So I'll just go back and forth, weave that in. Make sure you started with a long enough tail because you want to be able to weave that in securely. All right, I'll grab my scissors. And so now for round 1, I have 6 sets of 2 double crochet, chain 1. We joined to our first double crochet, which was our chain 3, and chained 3. So our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We're going to double crochet in that same double crochet, then we'll move to the next double crochet and stitch 2 double crochets in that next double crochet. And that'll give us 4 double crochets. Then we'll chain 1. We'll move over to the next 2 double crochets and stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, and chain 1. And so what we're going to have for round 2 is we're going to have 6 sets of 4 double crochet, chain 1. All right, so here's our chain 1 space. We'll go to the next 2 double crochets and stitch 2 double crochets in each of those 2. There's 2, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And you can start to see how it's forming that hexagon shape. We'll repeat this on these next 3 sets, 2 double crochets in each of the 2 double crochets and chain 1. I have completed those 6 sets of 4 double crochet, chain 1. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. All right, so for round 2 we have 6 sets of 4 double crochet, chain 1. Let's do round 3. We're going to double crochet in that first double crochet. We're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2. 1, 2. Then in the last double crochet of those 4, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And chain 1. And so now we're going to have 6 double crochets because we increased by 1 at the beginning and end of our groups, and chain 1. All right, let's do the next group of 4. There's our 4. We'll place 2 double crochets in the first double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next 2, and 2 double crochet in the last of those 4, and chain 1. So again, I have 6 double crochets, chain 1, and we'll repeat this around. 2 double crochets in the first double crochet of that set of 4, 1 double crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2. Oops, get in there. Alrighty, and then 2 double crochets in the last of those 4. So again, I have 6 double crochets and chain 1. And we'll repeat that on these last 3 sets of 4. I have completed round 3. We have 6 sets of 6 double crochet with chain 1 in between. So here's my chain 1. I'm going to join to that first chain 3, and I'm going to chain 3. So now what we're going to do for round 4 is we're going to double crochet in that first double crochet, then we'll double crochet in the next double crochet. We're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the next 2 double crochets and then double crochet in the next. And then we'll place 2 double crochets in that last double crochet of that group of 6 and chain 1. And so we need to have chain 2, skip 2 in the center of our groups because this is where we're going to put those shell stitches that we work up each side. Okay? All right, let's do the next section or set. We're going to stitch 2 double crochets in that first stitch. We'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next. We'll chain 2. We'll skip the next 2 and then double crochet in the next and 2 double crochets in the next. And chain 1. So you'll have 3 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1. All right, let's do the next set. 2 double crochets, then 1 double crochet in the next, chain 2, skip 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next, and then we end the group with 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. Now, if it feels like it's curling up a little bit, that's okay. Once we do the next row, or round 5, it's going to start laying really pretty. I did notice that on round 4 it wants to curl just a little, but that's okay. Don't panic, okay? All right, so we'll continue to repeat on these last 3 sides what we did over here. 3 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 3 double crochets. So I repeated on these last 3 sides, 2 double crochets in the first, 1 in the next, chain 2, skip 2, 1 in the next, 2 in the last of our group, and chain 1. And so you have 6 sets of those. Where every row you're going to have 6 sets because we're making basically a hexagon, as I stated. All right, so I'm going to join to the chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. This is my favorite row, row 5, on making this blanket, because this is where we start making those beautiful shell stitches that just add so much fun and kind of classiness, I think, to this project. All right, so we're going to double crochet in the first chain 3. We're going to double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 1 and not stitch in that third stitch. We're going to chain 1, and in this chain 2 space, we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and then chain 1. And this is the shell stitch that we'll be doing all the way up the side on each of our 6 sides. Chain 1, skip the first double crochet in the next, and then 2 double crochets in that last double crochet of that set. And chain 1. All right, so just so we can look at this, we did a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3, and then we double crocheted in the next stitch. We chained 1, skipped the next double crochet. Then we stitched our shell stitch, 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets in our chain 2 space. Then we chain 1, skip the next double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next, 2 in the last of our set, chain 1. All right, let's do another one. So we come to our first double crochet, so we're going to stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2. We're going to double crochet in the next double crochet. We're going to chain 1 and skip that last double crochet of those 3. And then we'll stitch our shell stitch, which again is 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, and chain 1. We'll skip that next double crochet, stitch 1 double crochet in the next, and then 2 double crochets in the last of that group or set, and chain 1. Okay, so again we have 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip the last. We have 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet for our shell stitch, chain 1, skip the next double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next, 2 in the last of that set, and chain 1. And so that's our repeat for round 5. Two in the first, 1 in the next, chain 1, skip the next, and stitch our shell stitch in the chain 2 space. 1 and 2, chain 1 and 1 and 2. Chain 1, skip the next double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next, and 2 in the last of that set. And chain 1. Okay, so there's our repeat, and we'll repeat that on these last 3 sides. I have completed round 5. I join to my chain 3, and I need to chain 3. 2, 3. All right, so we're going to double crochet in the same stitch as our double crochet, and then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochet stitches, 1 and 2. So now we have 4. We have 3 down here, but now we have 4 double crochets. We're going to chain 1 and go right to that chain 1 space of our shell stitch and stitch our shell stitch. 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets. And chain 1. All right, so now we'll go to the next double crochet and stitch a double crochet, 1 double crochet in the next, and 2 in the last of that group. 1 and 2. And chain 1. And see how that works? We have 4 double crochets, chain 1, our shell stitch, chain 1 and 4 double crochets, and chain 1. So now we're to our next group, and we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the first one, 1 and 2, 1 double crochet in the next 2, and again we're not skipping that last double crochet like we did on round 5. We won't be doing that anymore. Okay, so we stitch 2 in the first, 1 in each of the next 2, chain 1, we go to our chain 1 space of our shell stitch and stitch our shell stitch. And chain 1. Now we go to our next group of 3. So we stitch 1 in the first 2. There we go. And 2 in the last. 1 and 2. And chain 1. All right, and just let's take a look at this. So we have 2 in the first, 1 in the next 2 double crochets. Chain 1, shell stitch in the chain 1 space of the shell stitch. Chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next 2 and 2 in the last of that group. And again, we're going to have 6 of those groups. All right? Because we're working on the basis of a hexagon. So there's my 4, 2 in the first, 1 in the next 2. Chain 1. Now I'm going to skip over here to my chain 1 space and stitch my shell stitch. Chain 1, and I go right to this double crochet over here. 1, 2, and 2 in the last of that group. 1 and 2. Chain 1. All right, and so we'll repeat what we did here on these last 3 sides and then join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 6. Okay, and so we have 6 sets of 4 double crochet, chain 1, our shell stitch, chain 1 and 4 double crochets, chain 1. And 6 sets of those. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. And so like I was saying, it just increases every row. The shell stitch is the same, chain 1 is the same on both sides, and the chain 1 in between our groups. But what changes is the sets that are before and after our shell stitches. Okay, so let me explain that a little bit better. Now we're doing round 7. So I'm going to double crochet in the same stitch as my chain 3. And then I'm going to double crochet in these next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. And so just to give a better explanation, on the first row where we added our shell stitch, we had 3 double crochets. Then on the next row, row 6, we had 4. Now row 7, we have 5. All right, so we chain 1, we go over to the chain 1 space of our shell stitch and stitch our shell stitch exactly the same. 2 double crochets, chain 1 and 2 double crochets, and then chain 1. So the shell stitch, of course, is the same. We chained 1 and we're going to come over here to these 4 and we're going to stitch a double crochet in the first 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then in the last double crochet of that second 4 group, we stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And so our groups now have 5 and 5 at the beginning and end with that shell stitch in between. Chain 1. Now I'm going to go to the next group. 2 double crochets in the first, 1 double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then we chain 1, we go to the chain 1 space of our V-stitch and stitch our V-stitch. Chain 1, then we stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3 double crochets, and then in that last double crochet of this group we stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. And see how that looks, and you can see the increases here. And that's how every row is going to be. All right, now we're going to repeat what we did here on these last 4 sides and then join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 7. And you'll notice that we have 5 double crochets now, chain 1 our shell stitch, chain 1, and 5 double crochets on each of our 6 sets. I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Okay, and so that is the pattern. Every row we're going to increase at the beginning and end of our set by 1 double crochet. All right, so let's do round 8. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, so we're going to double crochet in that first stitch, and that increases us by 1. And now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. All right, so let's take a look at this just so we understand. On our first row with our shell stitch, we had 3, then we had 4, then we had 5, and now we have 6. And so we're increasing by 1 at the beginning of our group or set. So we'll chain 1, we'll go to the chain 1 space of our shell stitch, stitch our shell stitch, and chain 1. Now we'll go to the next set or group on our set, and we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That brings us to our last double crochet of this set, and so we'll stitch 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and chain 1. So now again we have 6 double crochets, and those are your repeats for the next 5 groups. 6 double crochet, chain 1, shell stitch, chain 1, 6 double crochets, chain 1, and then we'll repeat that. And that's how the blanket increases, because we're increasing at the beginning and end of each set on every row or round. They're actually rounds, but it's okay if you want to call them rows. Stitching my shell stitch, and I love the addition of these shell stitches on every group because I just think it makes it so pretty. and adds just that pop of texture and classiness to the blanket. All right, we're on our second part of our group here, so we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. And 2 double crochets in the last one, which will give us 6 double crochets, chain 1. All right, and see how that works? 6 double crochets, chain 1, shell stitch, chain 1, and 6 double crochets, and chain 1. And so we're going to repeat that on these last 4 sides, and again join back to our chain 3. I have completed round 8. And so you can see I have 6 double crochets, chain 1, my shell stitch in the chain 1 space of my shell stitch, and 6 double crochets. And so what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat row 8, only you're going to increase every row. So when you go to do row 9, instead of having 6 at the beginning and end of each set, you'll have 7. And then when you do 10, round 10, you'll have 8. And so you'll be increasing at the beginning and end of each of your 6 sections or sets every row. All right? So continue to repeat row 8 for 24 or more rows, increasing every row at the beginning and end of each set. So here is my actual blanket. You can see up here where we started with our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and continued on to increase every row, and see how it just gets bigger? Here's the shell stitch. Here's the row before and after on that set. And it's absolutely gorgeous the way once you get going, those shell stitches just pop out, and it's absolutely beautiful. All right, and so that's the way that it should look, minus the trim. And again, remember, you can do as many rows as you want to. If you want to make a really great big one to put on the back of your couch, that would be absolutely gorgeous. And then you could pull it off and cover up while you're watching your Christmas movies. Make it big enough for 2 to cuddle. I might do that for me and my hubby. Anyway, continue to increase your sections before and after each of your shell stitches until it's the size that you want. And then we're going to add this beautiful and easy velvet edge. I'm going to show you on my swatch that I'm working on how to add the velvet trim. I grabbed my kind of gold matte here because I feel like the white's going to be hard to see if we don't use the gold behind. All right, so once your blanket is as large as you want it to be, go ahead and cut your yarn after you've joined your chain 3. And then we're going to bring in our velvet yarn. Alrighty, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to stitch a double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to chain 3 and then slip stitch in the top of that previous row. I'm sorry, previous stitch. That makes that little bump. And now we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. When you come to your chain 1 spaces, you'll just stitch a double crochet in the chain 1 space. All right, and then you'll stitch a double crochet in those 2 stitches of your shell stitch. My yarn is jumping all over the place. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We stitched 1 too many. because we want to go every 4 stitches and stitch our picot. All right, and then I'll stitch a double crochet in that next stitch. I'll stitch a double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then in the next 2 stitches. And so it doesn't matter what the stitch is, whether it's a chain 1 space or a double crochet, you just stitch 1 double crochet in it. So we'll stitch 4, make our chain 3, slip stitch in the top, and then keep on going and stitch 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I like doing it this way because I think it rounds everything out. And it just looks super pretty having that super white edge on there. So here is my actual blanket. I've got 4 double crochets, picot, 4 double crochets, picot, all the way around. And here I stitched 1 in the chain 1 space, 1 in the next 2 double crochets, 1 in the chain 1 space of my shell, 1 in the next 2 double crochets, 1 in the next chain 1 space, and then repeat across with my 4 double crochets in a picot every 4th stitch. Okay, just like I showed you on the swatch. The only difference is, of course, you have a much longer edge to work around. And so that is my very merry Christmas blanket that is round and will look perfect under a Christmas tree or on the back of your favorite couch or chair to brighten up and decorate for the holidays.